Call a meeting order, please, with a roll call, please.
Legislator Frost,
Here.
Legislator Calamus,
Here.
Legislator Mosier. Here. Legislator Lindecker,
Here.
Legislator Nortz.
Here.
Legislator Moorhan. Here. Legislator Levicker has been excused. Legislator Osborne,
Here.
Legislator Nellenbach,
Here.
and Legislator Dolhoff.
Here. Everyone, please stand for the pledge and invocation. If Legislator Talmus would lead us in the invocation, please.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for your presence today. Guide us in our decision-making tonight. And thank you, Lord, for all the people that came together to help each other during this past flooding in July. It's a true testament of the strength and the courage of our neighbors serving each other. And thank you for all the blessings, and guide us as we rebuild and repair as we move forward. We ask this in your name. Amen.
With us tonight, we have the honor of having the new FDLRO director with us, Mr. Michael McFadden. We'd like to welcome him to the Lewis County. He is a Lewis County resident, actually, and you'd like to say a few words.
I just wanted to say thank you very much for having me at the meeting tonight. It's a pleasure to meet everyone. Pleasure to be back in Lewis County. My wife is originally from Louisville here, so we decided after 33 years in the Army to come back to Lewis County and make this our forever home. So I'm very excited to be the Executive Director, Advocate Drum, and a resident here in Lewis County again. Thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to working with you. Tonight we have a public hearing on an unsafe structure located at 1047 State Route 26, West Leiden, owned by Neil and Coral Grenier. And is there anyone here that would like to comment on that? Would you come forward, please, and state your names for the record, if you would?
I am Neil Grenier.
I'm Coral Grenier.
We're in the process of tearing the building down with the intent of cleaning up everything and leaving the end portion of the building that was an addition to the rest of the building. And we've restructured that and plan on having that re-tinned and covered up by the end of our building permit.
We're actually hoping to have it done before snow flies. At
This
least
year-
have it
this year?
funded. Yes,
This year?
yes. We've made a lot of progress already in the last few weeks, weather permitting.
Mr. Chairman, I would just note for the record that the legislators were provided with some of the documentation on the property and the steps that Code Officer Brown and Ward have undertaken on this property. So my question on behalf of the board to the Greniers is, have you been in communication with codes to let them know how you're progressing, and will you continue to do that, please?
I spoke with Ward a couple times on this already, but he has my number to contact me back if he chooses to.
Okay, and so you have the permit for demolition? Do they have everything they need in terms of how to get rid of the waste? Okay.
We've already removed 2.5 dumpsters from the property. Through
Great.
voucher of others.
I would just urge you to stay in touch with them because they'll be reporting to the board, and the board just wants to see some progress because, you know, they're getting a lot of complaints.
So I'm sure Jeff Nellenbach, that's the chief across the street, will be on it.
I have noticed that you have been making progress.
we had to secure finances and buy a piece of equipment. It did take a little while after the building fell for us to secure the means to take it down, but we are working on it as quickly and safely as possible.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. We're required to leave this open for 30 minutes, so we'll do that. And I'm not expecting anyone else would have any comments, but is there anyone else that would like to comment on this public hearing? Dave? Mr. Brown?
So I realize you have acquired the demolition permit, but you'll also need permits to structurally maintain what is left there to bring that back into compliance. Okay? So, as long as you're moving forward with the demolition, that's okay on that part, but when it comes to the actual building or whatever we have to do to secure that, we want to be able to take a look at it, make sure, and if we can't approve it, then we will have an engineer, or you will have to obtain an engineer to provide us with information that proves that it will be safe. Okay? All right, thanks.
Anyone else at this time? We'll move on to the July 2nd board meeting minutes, which have been distributed, and if there are no amendments, they stand approved. Privilege of the floor. Is there anyone here that would like privilege of the floor to make any comments? Board of the Finance and Rules Committee per Rule 6, please, Cassandra.
The Finance and Rules Committee has met and they recommend to waive rules to act upon late resolutions.
Moved by Vince, second by Andrea. Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carries. My understanding is we have no clerk of the board report tonight, so we will move to standing committee reports and start with Finance and Rules with Legislator Osborne, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to report that the Workers' Compensation Department is currently working on the 2025 budget, which is due to participants by September 1st. There are ongoing discussions about utilizing some of the workers' compensation fund balance to help offset next year's budget. This should reduce the assessment for each participating entity. Year-to-date incidents reported are 34. Out of those 34 incidents, there are 12 that have lost time from work, 13 that are medical only, and 9 that are just minor incidents without lost time or medical. Also, out of those 34 claims, there have been 14 closed already. This fall, work will start on renewing the workers' compensation excess liability policy. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Tom? Thank you, Tom. And we'll move to General Services Committee with Legislator Moorhan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Recreation, Forestry, and Parks Department reports that Lauren Hooper, the administrative assistant who resigned, has been replaced by Sherry Mary. The New York State Department of Health inspection for construction at Singing Waters has been completed. There are a few more items such as installing washtub sinks outside and retesting the well before final approval. Prentice and Carlisle are working on the timber harvest on the Cronk Road and hope to start Hugh Memorial next month. The Lee Gulf Stream crossing permit has been submitted to New York State DEC, the New York State DOT. Access permit for the Ives Road connection is under review. Trail maintenance and mowing are ongoing in the Pre-Civical Trail. I don't know if I'm saying that right. That connects to Bald Mountain will be graded and ditched this month. Permit sales are currently at $179,023.63, which is $7,561.61 over last year's year-to-date numbers. The next OHV roundtable meeting will be held on August 26th, beginning at 4:00 p.m. in the conference room of the Outdoor Services Building at 7362 East Road, Loudon. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Any questions for Andrea? Thank you, Andrea, and we'll move to Health and Human Services Committee with Legislator Moser.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Community Services Department reports that the community survey was completed on how to utilize the opioid settlement funds for maximum impact. Results of the survey are being used to identify priority areas for an annual grant program that agencies, schools, community-based organizations, etc. will be eligible for. The first planning meeting was facilitated by Fort Drum Regional Health Planning Organization for the Hospital and Community Connections Project. Goals and action steps were identified to improve discharge planning. The Children's Home of Jefferson County will provide outpatient mental health services in Lewis County 2 days a week and are accepting referrals now. Lastly, the succession planning process is underway for the Director of Community Services. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Questions for Jess? Thank you, Jess. And we will move to Legislator Nortz, who's our board rep on the Hospital Board of Managers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Board of Managers met on July 31st, and there was a gain of $1.8 million versus a budgeted loss of $45,000 for the month of June. Year-to-date gain was 3.7 million with a budgeted loss of 1.2 million. The hospital was also recognized with a silver award for the Get with the Guidelines Stroke Recognition Program through the American Heart Association. Miss Marcy Teal and the nursing team and the ED providers did diligence for achieving this award. Also, the last storm did have some impact on the hospital, not with the physical plant itself, but more with the parking lot. The preliminary cost right now to remedy the parking lot 8 is at 2.1 million, and it's been submitted to FEMA. The administration is working with BCA on a plan to slow the water coming from number 3 road in lot number 8. Also, too, there was an update on the Harrisville Center. I want to thank Legislator Frost for helping with that to get that moving and get that up and so we can get that up and running. Also, we posted a opening for Director of Operations and Chief Compliance Officer for the hospital. This is replacing the old Chief Operating Officer. The employee for the month was Amber Bailey, technologist, and that is my report, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Vince? Thank you. And we will move to the county manager report. Tom, do you have any direction you'd like to give before that happens?
We got to make it till at least 5:30 anyway. A few notes. First of all, I'd like to recognize a great business in Lewis County that was recognized recently by the Small Business Development Center, Hand in Hand, the only licensed childcare, commercial childcare provider in Lewis County, was recently awarded the New York State, so a statewide award, New York State Rural Small Business of the Year Award, which is pretty impressive. So congratulations to Hand in Hand. You know, Cassie and her team at the planning department and community development have been working with them for quite a while now. We're working on expanding their footprint up in Harrisville, working on expanding their footprint in South Lewis and here in Loudville as well. So great award and well deserved to that business. It is budget season. We started a little bit early this year due to the pending transition, but we have met with every single department at this point. Our departments, as always, were well prepared. Modest asks always. We've got a great group of department heads that are very practical about their needs and what they need for the coming year. The goal of this year is a zero budget. So we're trying to come in with 0% tax increase. That's the goal. We'll be back to you guys at the September committee meetings with the first look on capital and personnel. that's a pretty good indication of whether we're going to make it to zero or not if we can keep our capital and personnel in check. And then we'll have the full budget workshop in October. I won't be here for that, so good luck to the next guy. And then you guys will vote on the budget in November is our typical schedule for that. Just a couple updates from the flood. The FEMA review is complete on public assets. So we first had the State Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services here. They sent a team of, I'm not kidding, like 20 employees here to Lewis County to help us. They divided and conquered. They went into different groups based on bridges, roads, schools, hospital, water and sewer. They really did a wonderful job and turned over that preliminary disaster assessment to FEMA. Then FEMA comes to town, verifies their results, which has happened. Now we are in the process of working with the SBA, the Small Business Association, to assess if we have enough private sector damage to meet the threshold for SBA loans, which are zero interest loans that come from the federal government. All day today and maybe tomorrow too. I think they're out and about. All right, today they're going to every single property that did the self-assessment tool. So remember, we were really encouraging properties that were affected by the damage to use that self-assessment tool. We had 39 properties that used the self-assessment tool. I am sure there are more properties that were affected. So we can still use that tool. The portal is not closed. So we still want to continue to encourage people to go online or right on their phone and do the self-reporting damage, because the more that we can prove, the more resources we're going to unlock for the community. We heard kind of through the grapevine today that it's highly likely that we're going to qualify for the low interest loans. Perhaps we would qualify for even more if we, if the federal government knew the full extent of the damage. So we want to make sure that folks are doing that. Unless there's any questions, that's it for me.
Any questions for Ryan? If not, we'll move to the report of the Finance and Rules Committee per Rule 7, please, Cassandra.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Rules Committee reports that they have examined the claims presented for payment in the total amount of $2,639,829.02 and recommend that they be audited and allowed for the amounts claimed.
Someone like to move that? Herb? I have a second. Andrea? Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? And that carries. So I have a note here from our county attorney that says that since the property owners in West Leiden have appeared, it's not necessary to carry the full 30 minutes for the public hearing. But I'll ask one more time if there is anyone that would like to comment on that property in West Leiden.
Mr. Chairman, if I can, I would just, my recommendation to the board would be that we withdraw that resolution, that late resolution that is there, because they do have the permit for the demolition. And they've indicated that they're going to try to get it done sooner than later. And so we could always bring that resolution back if something happens and you don't follow through with it. So on behalf of the board, again, I thank you for coming in and for cooperating with the county to get this resolved as quickly as you can. Thanks.
Thank you. And seeing no interest in making comments, at this point, we will close the public hearing. And we'll move to resolutions. We've identified individual resolutions, 141, 145, 151, and 170 to be voted on separately. Is there any other resolutions that any legislators would like to vote on separately?
I have down 156 and 159 as well.
Other.
And 171 will be a formal withdrawal when we get to that.
Okay, so we leave that out and formally withdraw. Any others? Would someone like to make a motion to move the remaining resolutions as a consent packet? Jess, second by Tom Kalmus. Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? The consent packet carries. And we will move to 141.
Resolution number 141 is auditing and allowing claims.
Moved by Andrea, second by Vince. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to recuse myself because there's payments payable to me or based upon vouchers I've approved.
Please note that. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
This
Anyone
is a roll
opposed?
call.
Sorry.
Legislator Frost,
Yes.
Legislator Mosier abstained, Legislator Nortz,
Yes.
Legislator Leviker is excused, Legislator Osborne,
Yes.
Legislator Calamus,
Yes.
Legislator Lindecker,
Yes.
Legislator Moorhan,
Yes.
Legislator Nellenbach,
Yes.
and Legislator Dahlhoff.
Yes.
The next resolution is number 145, and it is a resolution appointing Lewis County Manager to fill the unexpired term of Ryan Pache and authorizing employment agreement.
We can move it. Andrea, second by Tom Osborne. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Welcome. You want to say a few words, Tim, or? you gonna-
The next resolution is 151, resolution authorizing the sale of portion of certain county real property on East Road, Laval to David C. Hodge and Michelle L. Smith.
some- Second, Herb, discussion.
I gave everybody a map of the land. You can see where the house was being built and the land was in use during the build. You can see the trusses on it and other building material. So I can see how the landowner might have thought that they were getting that land with the purchase, but it looks like to me it's been regraded and everything on both lots. And I don't like that, as I was told, that they named their price. I think we need to have an appraisal done. Wow. The way I understand, they thought they were getting the land when they purchased the house.
Any other comments?
I would agree with Barry that if it's the county property, I think we should sell it for what the fair market value is of the property. I don't have a problem selling it to those individuals. Whether it's more or less than what they've offered, I don't know, but if it was my property, I would want it appraised. I don't know what the value of that property is.
Okay. My understanding is that it's landlocked, and I think the fair value number. We don't, do we need an appraisal, Joan?
If the board wants an appraisal, we can make them get an appraisal.
Mr. Chairman, in the past, when we've sold county land, have we gone by appraisals, or in the past, how have we done that?
If there's a way that the fair market value is determined without the appraisal, sometimes it's based upon the assessments, especially if it's vacant land. Sometimes we've had appraisals done. So if the board wants an appraisal, that's fine. We'll tell them they have to get an appraisal. And I can also tell the board that legislator Weindacker is not correct in his facts. They were not thinking or told that they were getting that property when they bought it. They had a survey done. The survey showed exactly what they were getting.
So this is 0.44 acres and the offer is 2,000. That's, means that if, you're given basically an appraisal of close to $5,000 an acre. I don't know what an appraisal costs, but I'm not sure that we're gonna buy that.
An appraisal for vacant land typically probably about $400 or so. 5,000 for buildable lot would be probably pretty fair, but I don't know that you would see 5,000 on a non-buildable lot that's landlocked.
Any other comments? Favor?
Chairman, this is a
This is a roll call? Okay, sorry.
Legislator Osborne,
No.
Legislator Nortz,
No.
Legislator Nellenbach,
No.
Legislator Calamus,
No.
Legislator Leviker is absent. Legislator Mosher,
No.
Legislator Moorhan,
No.
Legislator Leindecker,
No.
Legislator Frost,
Yes.
and Legislator Dolhoff.
Yes.
The next resolution is resolution number 156-2024, resolution authorizing renewal pilot agreement by and between the Nature Conservancy and the towns of Martinsburg, Montague, Osceola, and West Turin, the Camden, Lovell, and South Lewis Central School Districts, and the County of Lewis.
Moved by Tom Kelmus. Do I have a second? Vince? Discussion.
My question is the pilot. What's the pilot amount? Is it different for all 7?
It's a formula that truthfully only Candy could explain to you. It's a formula that they work off of every year based upon the assessment and what they've agreed to in acreage and all of that.
Candy would know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carries.
Resolution number 159-2024, resolution regarding seeker review of an addition of 0.26 miles of new trail into the Lewis County Trail System and declaring no significant impact.
Moved by Andrea, second by Tom Osborne. Discussion.
Is this coming into the Glenfield Elementary School?
Yes, it's along the property would be the west property line, I believe.
That's not gonna bother, we have a buyer for that, right?
Yes,
And that was for elderly living space?
the buyer is in agreement for about the easement.
We went out there with them, Barry, and looked at different options for this and offered many times that if this was going to be a problem, that we would, obviously hold off on it. And they said insisted it wasn't a problem, and we're good with it. So
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carries.
Resolution number 170, 2024, resolution authorizing snowmobile trail 2024-2025 grant and aid application and grant agreement conditions to the Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation for trail maintenance expenses in Lewis County.
Moved by Jessica, second by Vince. Discussion. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carries.
And the last resolution, number 171, 2024, is being withdrawn.
Okay, do we have any other business?
Chairman, is there any discussion about replacing Mr. Hunt, how we go about that for us new people into the new members of the legislature?
My understanding, would you like to take that one, Caitlin?
Yes, so we have posted the anticipated opening. So once the position closes, then we will review the applicants and we typically meet with the committee that sits in there, General Services. So meet with the General Services Committee to review the candidates and move through any types of interviews and next steps to recommend a candidate to then be appointed for a 5-year term.
We're okay with that? Okay. Any other business? Motion to adjourn? Andrea, second by Herb. Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? I think we just set a new record.